Hello traders, welcome back to another weekly watch list video. Last week I was away from my home for a long weekend holidays and I couldn't post a video, so sorry about that, but I'm back in business, so let's get started. This week we saw some substantial rallies in both directions. Considering 4-day week with the Fed person speaking throughout the week and low volume trading activity, it gave us wild price swings. Now going into the next week, all eyes are on core CPI data that is coming out on September 13th. If the data came out as expected, then the market will rally. Else, we will see a further continuation towards the downside. For the purpose of this video, I was analyzing all the stocks from the different sectors, indices and whatnot, and what I found out is this market is leaning more towards the bearish side rather than the bullish side and waiting for something to happen. It feels like market is anticipating bad CPI data and positioning itself to execute a move once that data is out, but it's just my speculation. At this point, anything can happen. So let's start with Nasdaq. Nasdaq has had a nice rally going into the Friday close, but that rally has not shown any significant strength. Based on the pure technical analysis, Nasdaq is forming an inverse head and shoulder and on a 4-hour time frame, and it makes a perfect sense. Nasdaq will push on Monday and probably on Tuesday before getting that CPI data, and then probably it will pull back to complete the right shoulder and move towards the upside from there. Now I'm watching for 2864 for Nasdaq to retest, and at that point it will retest this 200 period moving average. On the pullback, watch for the 12,669, that is this level where we are at right now, and below that 12,472. Also, it has a small gap to fill between 12,400 to 12,360, which it will fill if we get a substantial pullback. Moving on to S&P 500, it's portraying a similar picture as Nasdaq, but its price is developing faster than Nasdaq. So watch for the retest of this 200 period moving average around 4119.24, at which it will give us that anticipated pullback to complete the right shoulder, and on the pullback watch for 3900 level to hold. Okay, that's a critical level for it to hold, because considering this slope of this head and shoulder, I think it probably come close to that and then bounce back up from there. Dollar. Now strong dollar is always bringing a bad omen to the stock market, and last few weeks we saw a slight pullback in the dollar, which gave us a rally in the stock market going into the Friday of the last week. But don't be fooled by that move towards the downside, because dollar is also curling up along with the stock market, and dollar will make its move once we get the CPI data, and probably that move will be towards retesting of this 10 period moving average and followed by the 21 period moving average, which is shown here in red line close to 110-109, and that will give us that anticipated pullback in the stock market. But at this point everything is speculative, everything is depends on that core CPI data that we are going to get this week. Moving on to VIX. VIX tried to retest this 30 level but failed to break through that, and about 28 to 30 within that range it hovered, tried to break through it but failed to do that, and finally cracked below 24 right over here. Also, it has a small gap to fill between 21.76 to 21.33, which it will fill as there is some room available for VIX to the downside. I'm expecting a bounce before or after the gap fill, retesting this 23-24 level once again, and this all will happen when we get that CPI data, and probably I think Monday will be green, Tuesday will be green, and on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday we will get that pullback in the market. Now let's start with this week's watch list, I mean stocks. Starting with the advanced auto parts, So it dropped massively after earnings and recovered quite a bit, but its chart looks very much similar to what Netflix did after their earning. Watch for the retest of this 185. If it enters into the gap to fill, then 187, 190 will be the next target, at which it will basically retest this both 40 period moving average and a 200 period moving average. These are the two substantial moving average, and you can see some pullback, push through, or some kind of like a price action change within these two moving averages. Moving on to Apple. Apple is looking good for the short term rally, and it's gaining momentum towards the upside. It is close to the 21 period moving average, so it will break through it, and based on this fib retracement, I think we can easily see 161, 162 level either on Monday in combination of like Monday and Tuesday. Airbnb has a nice inverse head and shoulder formation, and it's gaining that momentum towards the upside. But what I want to say here is we already completed this left shoulder, head, and right shoulder almost perfectly, and at this point what we need to see is whether this pattern hold. What I mean by that is like break through this 124.31 level towards the upside and 131 towards the 131.41, get small rejection, pull back and retest this 124.31 level, where it will retest previous resistance as a support and then possible move back higher. Next one is Amazon. This is another candidate that is in the process of forming that inverse head and shoulder, which will retest. So at this point, like if it wants to complete its head, I think it will retest this 137.80 or close to between 136 to 138 level, and then we will get that pullback. If the pullback gains some momentum towards the downside, then probably it will fill this gap between 131 to 130 before bouncing back towards this 137, and then it has to repeat that breakout and retest formation to move higher. Salesforce has broken about 21 period moving average right over here. With the bullish momentum behind it, it can retest the previous support level as a resistance at 167, 169.96, at which it will retest this 40 and 200 days moving average and could get a solid rejection from that level. So just keep an eye on this formation. It's very easy to understand. CrowdStrike is a bag of mixed price action, and currently it's above all of its moving averages like 200, 10, 21 and 40. So what I'm expecting here, as you guys can see here, I drew these multiple lines or the trend lines because there is so much going on in between these ranges. So my best guess is it will retest this level, this middle line of this channel around 200, and then we need to see at that point what will happen. Most probably it will get a pullback, retest these two moving averages like 40 and 21 before making any further move. Dick's Sporting Goods showed a solid bullish strength, and it within its parabolic move, it will attempt to break through this 119, which is a heavy resistance zone, and upon rejection it will come back down to retest this 116, but nonetheless it's look prime for the downside. I covered this NFLX stock in my previous video. I'm still unable to find the cause behind its strong move towards the upside. It has this inverse cup and handle formation which looks bearish, so watch for the 295. If it broke through 295, then it will quickly come down to retest this 280 level, or maybe it will retest this 40 and 21 period moving average around 290 and 289 and might get a bounce back or the consolidation within this range. As you see, we got that consolidation right over here as well. Google back in the box again and just below its 40 and 200 days moving average, which means that if the market push up, it will give some momentum to Google's price action to move up with the market as well. And what it means is like it will retest this 113, probably 114 level, and retest these two moving averages, then pull back, complete this inverse head and shoulder formation, and then continue its move towards the ceiling of this box. MACD, nice head and shoulder formation and looking prime for the downside. For the confirmation, you can use this right shoulder formation with rising wedge. It's also broke down. It started breaking down and got rejected from its 41 period moving averages, and both of its 10-21 period moving averages are below its current price, so that means it will gravitate towards those moving averages, which is close to 257 256. So it will give that nice $2-3 move towards the downside. MongoDB dropped massively after earnings, and that drop created a gap to fill between 321 to 272. Right now it's on the edge of its gap fill, and it might enter into this gap and fill it partially when it moves towards this 290 level. Consider a solid rejection from this point. Will come back down in this in the lower range of this box and probably consolidate, hover over there, similar to Google, for quite a while before breaking either up or down. Microsoft, it's very much like Apple, and it's just below 240 period moving averages. Microsoft will move easily to 268 to 270. What I mean by that is like it will retest this previous resistance again when it reached the ceiling of this box, of this chop zone. And if we get a breakthrough, then next level to watch for is 272, 276. I don't think so that will be possible. We will move towards 267, then probably consolidate, come back down again to retest this 260 level, and let's see what happens next after that. NVDA, it's really shameful to see NVDA drop this far just because of the political clout and what's going on in the world with the semiconductor within the semiconductor sector. Now NVDA has a nice thick gap to fill between around like 141.91 to 144.42. Right now it's at the edge of this gap fill and just below this 21 period moving average. So my expectation is like with the market momentum, it can push through, probably push through this gap fill right towards this 152, get a rejection, come back down to retest this 21 and 10 period moving averages, and we need to see like how market conditions are at that point to predict its next move. Roblox, I'm not too confident about its move, but as you can see, it's in channel, and both channel extreme high and extreme low are very much on the extreme side. So what I'm expecting it to do is like to break this channel by moving high towards this 48.20 mark, then get a rejection, retest this trend line of this channel, hold it as a support, and then bounce back up again towards the upside. If it moves, wait for the confirmation and then open your trade. Tesla, will make a move towards the 304. That's almost confirmed, guaranteed based on its momentum. Other than that, I would like to just wait and watch to see what it does next. If bullish momentum continues, then we might see push towards the 312, and if it get a pullback, then it might consolidate within this box, within this range of 312 to 300 for a while before picking up the direction. And the last one is UPS. Similar to McDonald, UPS also has this textbook head and shoulder formation where its left shoulder is a little bit weak, a nice head, and right shoulder is still in formation. But based on its momentum, I think we will complete this right shoulder top at when it reaches to this 200, and at that point it will retest this 41 period moving average right over here and then pull back, retesting, coming back down to retest its neckline between 192 to 193. So there you go, guys. Another weekly watch list video wrapped up. If you like the information presented in this video, then consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. As always, the watch list that I showed or shared in this video is available down in the description section. Thank you for watching and see you guys in the next week. Bye.